Go Birds! All right, well, we've been talking for 7 minutes about your fantasy team, and no one cares about your fantasy team, so I think we should wrap it up.
And that's how we have to end this segment every single time we do it. I would watch Denver's Seahawks for at least a little while. I'm curious about Bo Nix. I just have so many questions. Ann Arbor, see you next week!
Friday football forecast. Banana. Recording from New York and Los Angeles, your hosts, Nicole Katz and Brianna Klein, are emerging from the tunnel for this week's show. Another sports show is ready to broadcast to you on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Make us one of your stars of the game by subscribing, liking the video, and turning on auto downloads. Before we kick off, please leave us a podcast review and YouTube comment. Attend the postgame on social media for exclusive daily content. Today on another sports show.
Welcome to the first edition of what is going to be a new weekly episode, Friday Football Forecast. There's so much football that is coming back into our lives, and we want to talk about it. So every single week, we're going to give you a bonus episode of another sports show that is just predicting the upcoming slate of NFL and college football games. So in addition to our normal Tuesday episode that is not going anywhere, you can now expect in your feeds and on YouTube this special Friday Football Forecast. This is not going to be your normal football predictions show. We're not just running through the slate of games and just the most exciting. We have some wild cards for you in a typical another sports show fashion. Get ready, because we're going to talk about things from every corner of the NFL and college football universe. Take it away, voiceover man.
It's another sports show, but it's not Game of the Week.
Disclaimer. I really think the NFL Game of the Week is Ravens-Chiefs, but that's happening on Thursday. Hasn't happened yet at the time of recording, but will happen before this comes out. Then, if I was ranking the second Game of the Week, I really think it would be Eagles-Packers, but that's happening on Friday. And while this episode comes out before that, we want to give you some time because this is a new episode we're dropping. We don't normally drop Friday episodes. We will be for all of the NFL season. So, for that reason, P3 essentially in the NFL Game of the Week, but still an unbelievably exciting game. Our NFL Game of the Week this week is Rams at Lions. Lions are favored by 3.5. Now, a normal, you'll be favored by about 2.5 points just for being home. So I do think this is a close game. Nicole, who do you think is going to win our NFL Game of the Week?
I'm going in on the Lions here. I'm leaning with the favorite, which doesn't seem like a hot take, and it's not interesting, but I don't know. It's screaming Lions to me here, just based on the strength of their offense. I feel like it's a safe intention to go with for this game.
I'm shocked that the line is this close, because, Vegas lines are set by perception. This tells me that the NFL betting audience is much smarter than I would expect, because the Lions are very good, should be really good again this year. The Rams, a lot of people forgot that they had a resurgence at the end of last season and are predicted to be very good this season. It would not surprise me at all if the Rams win this game. I think it's going to be incredibly close. Yeah,
definitely close. It's like something, as soon as I saw the point spread, I'm like, someone knows something I don't know, because I know I'm coming off the end of the season of Lions are huge, good defense, good offense. I mean,
well, you should go listen back to our NFL season preview, because I was very high on the Rams.
Exactly, super high. But I don't know, maybe no Aaron Donald. I'm really leaning into, I'm going with the Lions for this pick.
I picked the Lions straight up, but I actually would pick the Rams to cover if I get 3.5 points.
Yeah, I guess I could see that too.
Doormat Game of the Week. So this is a game we're going to pick every week where two bad teams face off against each other. So it is evenly matched, but it's basically an excuse to remind ourselves to watch other teams and to think about some other teams. This week's Doormat Game of the Week, the Vikings are traveling to the Giants. The Vikings are favored by 1 point in the point spread. I am incredibly interested in this game. Giants division rival to the Eagles, so I'm always going to be interested in watching that game. But there's so many question marks about the Vikings, where they have a really good team, but now Sam Darnold is the quarterback for said team. I don't expect either of these teams to be good, but I think this is a just how bad will the Vikings be kind of matchup to me.
Yeah. It's basically like, okay, there's like a mediocre OLine, and like Sam Darnold. Now, how is that going to work? Even
But
still,
you have Justin Jefferson.
You have Justin Jefferson. I really would have loved. I mean, not that I would have loved to see this go down with JJ McCarthy, but obviously, like that's not happening. I'm still picking the Vikings.
Yeah, me too. I think the Vikings should win this game.
Danny. Yeah, like Daniel Jones. Go listen to our traditional episode and just certain discussions of NFC East preview. Yeah, it's not like barely a quarterback, barely existing as human. I would be picking the Vikings for sure. But yeah, Sam Darnold in QB is never a good thing. There's nothing that's been like lucrative to come out of those situations like long term. Ever.
There's still people who believe in him though. Because I mean, and the argument would be, I mean, yeah, like the Jets ruined him.
And children believe in Santa Claus. And Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah, home field advantage matters so much in the NFL that in this game, the spread is essentially a toss-up. So I would understand being like, yeah, I'll take the Giants and a point. I think if the spread was the Giants plus 2.5, I would feel more comfortable taking them at that threshold. But I'm with you. I'll do the Vikings, and I'll even against the spread. Straight up and against the spread. The Vikings should win this game. If the Vikings don't win this game, I think we all need to recalibrate our expectations for the ceiling of the Vikings this year.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that definitely opens up like a whole different can of worms of the status of the Vikings.
That being said, if the Giants win this game, I think it says more about the Vikings than the Giants. And Giants fans, I'm telling you, don't freak out and think your team is going to be good.
Right, because it's still the Vikings. Like, there was just still enough question marks on that then.
Yeah. And it's hard because if people aren't like cut up, like this is not the same Vikings with like the floor they had because Kirk Cousins is a base level of a good quarterback. So like there's just too much uncertainty now. So like we can't think of the Vikings the same way. Like we all need to like reframe
who the Vikings are. Sam Darnold is QB.
Underdog winner of the week. To be an underdog team, for the context of another sports show and our Friday football forecast, which I will say as many times as possible, you need to not be favored by more than 3 points against the spread. So this is not like we can't come with an underdog team like the Giants, who are an underdog by a point on the point spread. That doesn't count as an underdog pick of the week. So at least over 3 points, at least 3.5 on the spread. Nicole, who is your underdog winner of the week?
I'm going with the Titans over the Bears.
Oh, we don't have the same one. What's the spread in that game?
4.5.
Yeah, I just don't believe in the Titans in any way, shape, or form.
I just feel like betting on the Bears choking. I mean, look, Caleb Williams is like a big question mark here that like I could totally like eat this, right. But I feel safe right now just with the Bears' recent history to choose against them. So I'm not that I'm high. I want to make it clear I'm not high on the Titans.
Well,
at
we
all.
have to pick an underdog. So, none of these we're going to be super high on because they're underdog for a reason.
But it's more my pessimism about the Bears.
Yeah. What scared me away from that is I do think Caleb Williams is walking into a situation with the Bears where things are really strong. Like the offensive weapons around him are strong. That defense is good. I mean, maybe not like stellar top of the league good, but like good. And guess what? The Titans, bad. So I got scared away from that. My underdog pick of the week is the Raiders at the Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 3.5 points. This is a division game, so it's always going to be closer. So even if you think that the royal you, not you, think that the Chargers are going to be better than the Raiders, like this game is going to be close. Like both of those teams play the Chiefs close because they're division opponents. While I believe in the Harbs, I don't believe in the history of the Chargers. When looking at all the teams, this was a close line, but the Raiders are enough of an underdog that I can pick them, and it's a division game, which is really, really why I landed with my underdog of the week will be the Raiders.
Herb and Harb. I will literally say that as many times as I can this season too.
Here's what I know about this game for sure, is that it's going to be the fourth quarter, and it's going to be within a point, like one one score, and either the Chargers are going to be driving down the field trying to make it back, or the Raiders are going to be driving with the ball trying to beat the Chargers. It's going to come down to that because that is how the Chargers play football.
That's how the Chargers always play. I love being able to tell the future. Cut to like, ooh, make this a clip. Ooh, look at it happen.
Let's tush the push. Let's push the tush. Let's tush the push. Let's push the tush. Let's tush the push. Let's push the tush.
All right, if you've never watched any another sports show football content, you might not know this, but I think that offensive and defensive line wins championships. I think it's the most important part of the team, not named the quarterback. And unless you have like a top 5 quarterback in the league, it probably is still more important than who your quarterback is, because if your quarterback is upright and he's playing the NFL, he probably will look better. So every week, I'm going to bring you my line matchup of the week. And this week, I have selected the top 10 unit Houston Texans defensive line that's going up against the top 10 unit Indianapolis Colts offensive line. In this game, the Colts are, or the Texans are favored by 2.5 on the road. I think a lot of that is that no one knows. Like, we've talked a lot about how the Colts' second-year quarterback is essentially a first-year quarterback, but that offensive line and defensive line are stellar, and that's why I'm super excited to see this offensive line play against the top unit in the Houston Texans defensive line. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions, Nicole, and I'll answer them as well. Who do you think is going to get the best of the line matchup here, where I have the Texans D-line against the Colts O-line? And then who do you actually think is going to win the game? Because I don't know if those are necessarily always one and the same.
I know, because I kind of feel like I'm so split 50-50 on this. Like, I literally have written down all of the reasons about who I want both to win and both to lose. I feel like we're going to see a lot of really unbelievable stellar performance with the Texas defense. That I think is without a doubt. However, I do feel like, and picking my winner of the game is going to be the Colts, putting in that there's a question mark on Richardson as the quarterback, and like I'm leaning into that like a little bit of unknown with that really strong offensive line.
Are you taking Colts straight up or with the points, or both? You know, like are you taking the Colts because you get 2.5 points, or are you picking them straight up to just win the game?
Straight up to win the game.
I am such a believer in this offensive line unit that if Richardson is floor, like just like an okay, can protect the football quarterback, yeah, I'm less confident than you, because I think I would need the points to confidently take the Colts, but I don't know. It's only 2.5. You know what? I'm gonna be.
It's close.
Here's the thing. The more I watch tape and like listen to people talk about, I'm blanking. CJ Stroud. Sorry, it's not that I'm less impressed with his rookie season. I'm just recontextualizing that he had an incredible season for a rookie, and they won the division sooner and like are ahead of schedule, that it wouldn't be unreasonable. Like, but now if he'd put in the same performance last year as this year, it would actually be less impressive, because he's now being compared to like, can you be in the Josh Allen, the Mahomes, the Burrow category?
You're no longer in the rookie, like in that like first year category. Like you need to now do a step.
Yeah, like his actual stats last year were incredible for a rookie, but not necessarily incredible as a quarterback. Yeah, so like he needs to take a step up this year to be to firmly cement himself in that category. Mm-hmm. And I think for that reason, it's reasonable to predict that they might falter out the gate a little bit, as you know, there's more tape on him. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts win this game, and I'm going to go bold, and I'm also going to pick them to win this game. And because I'm going bold to pick them to win this game, I do think that the Colts offensive line is going to get the better of the Houston Texans defensive line. But I don't think it's going to be because the D-line is bad. I think it's going to be because
the Colts offense is just that good. Yeah,
I think their offensive line is that good, and I'm going to predict that Richardson is going to hit the floor, that he is just going to be able to protect the ball. But I guess I just feel like if you aren't paying a ton of attention, people would be shocked if the line to this game is only 2.5 points. And I think that it represents what's going
perfectly.
on here.
100%.
Yeah. I have a confession to make. That if a game is exciting enough, I will click away from Redzone and just go watch that game. So every week, I'm going to tell you the game that I think, and Nicole's going to do the same, is most likely to pull our attention out of Redzone because we're excited and interested enough in that other game. One for the 1 p.m. window and one for the 4 p.m. window. So, Nicole, what game in the 1 p.m. window is most likely to pull your attention away out of Redzone and just go watch a normal flow of the NFL game?
Going into week 1 sets like a really good precedent because there's like so many questions that I want answered and things that I want to see. So going into week 1, I will click away from Redzone so that I can watch the Steelers and the Falcons.
Yeah. I wrote that down too. Now, honestly, the first one is actually Colts Titans, but we talked about them for my offensive line matchup of the week. But second to that is Steelers at Falcons for sure. Is Kirk Cousins able to play quarterback?
Is Russell Wilson able to play quarterback?
The Steelers-Falcons game is one of those games that could end up being so boring because it's just punt. Or, and it's not that I need offense to make an NFL game exciting, but I just like, enough needs to be happening. Like
that it's not just like, 3rd down, 4th down, up, didn't convert, let's punt it, nothing happened, wow, a field goal. That, like, it needs to be a little bit more action-y than that.
It's like, why are they punting? If they're punting because both of these defenses are good, that's entertaining to me. If they're punting because both of these offenses are actually inept, that's... So, but I do have a lot of questions. And if it ends up being exciting, I could see myself in the second half of this game being like, you know what, I'm going to flip away from Redzone because I want to follow what's going on here the most.
Yeah, I want to see either Russell Wilson be successful or Kirk Cousins be a quarterback, or Russell Wilson get pulled and Justin Fields get put in. And like, it's just, what a time.
But this is our Friday football forecast show. So pick your winner. Steelers at Falcons.
I'm going with the Steelers.
Whoa.
I'm
definitely going with Atlanta.
I felt spicy. This one felt hot saying this, just given like quarterback situation going on.
You know what?
Here,
I'm now just realizing
Pittsburgh defense.
Like the rest of the Steelers team, besides Russell Wilson, can actually play football. The Steelers have I did a whole thing about how good the Steelers are probably going to be, despite the fact that they don't have a quarterback. And the Falcons
don't be surprised when they end up in the postseason because the Steelers will somehow make it there. And what's happening with the Falcons?
And the Falcons are the Falcons. And the Falcons are the Falcons, and who knows if Kirk Cousins can play after his Achilles? You know what? I just convinced myself that you were right, but I'm not going to move off of it because I came into this being like, the Falcons are home. But I think that's what makes this game like high potential to pull me away. Is I think this could be really entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
There's a lot of those external factors, like I was saying, like going into this first week with so many questions of like Kirk Cousins moving and quarterbacks moving, and still like just the strength of the Steelers as a whole across the board. Yeah. But they're not home, but it's still the Steelers, and Atlanta's could technically be good on paper if things work out. They should
So how do I phrase
using
this?
Good loosely also saying
good in the context that we are talking about.
Right, of this, right.
I don't think this is a week 1 thing, but just interesting going into the season question for you. What kind of leash do you think Russell Wilson is on? So how bad does he have to be for how long until they're like, you know what, let's just put Fields in, knowing that the rest of this team isn't bad? Like,
I think it's got to be short. I mean, I also feel like he was hanging out at Denver like way too long, like that all felt. So I feel like they need to keep it short. And since that was such a relatively newly announced like quarterback decision, like it wasn't like this was happening so much earlier. If it goes bad quick, he'll be gone quick. And if not,
that's a vague answer, but I guess
I don't know, if we're like having interceptions in the first half, I think we're gonna.
Oh, so you're like, if he looks bad in the first 2 quarters of football, you think he's gone?
Kind of, almost. I'm just like,
I think he has a longer leash than that. Well, because Russell Wilson came into it like he's going to win the job, but then it wasn't that Fields looked so good, it's that he looked so bad.
So bad.
I think I think it would be similar
think
to
about what they would be switching to. Is my brain then also is not processing Justin Fields and just thinking about when Russell Wilson just doesn't complete.
You know what? Hold on. Steelers schedule.
Yeah, and by which game? This is yes. Let's do this.
Okay, so they're at Atlanta. I think even if Russell Wilson looks dreadful in this, I don't think they pull him. Then they're at Denver for week 2. I still think if he looks dreadful at Denver, they don't pull him. But
that's crazy because Denver's just
it's
like
bad.
not yeah.
Yeah, but I would be shocked if Tomlin did a mid-game switch. I guess the earliest I see it happening would be the week 3 Chargers game. Is like if Russell Wilson looks dreadful in weeks 1 and 2, I think that they'll probably make a switch for home
Especially
against the Chargers.
For Denver being Denver, and also just like that's where you just were. Like if he's bad against Denver, like that's barely a team.
Right. I think what it is that like even if he's dreadful in week 1, I could see the Steelers being like, we have to give him more than 1 week. Like it's not like they have. Again, Fields looked just as bad. So,
Then
but maybe
it's
not
like
like
they have a good alternative.
Right, like maybe not just as bad. I think Fields looked like slightly like on par with bad, I guess, is from everything I read. Like it's not like I'm sitting here watching Steelers preseason games. But I could see them being like, we have to give him at least week 2. So I think the earliest we would see Fields would be week 3. Would be my prediction.
Then I'd be interested to see if, depending on how the Chargers are playing, if they're going to want him going in with the Chargers. But
yeah.
Interesting. We're not watching Redzone. We're watching the Steelers and the Falcons.
Yeah, I think that's highly unlikely. I think I'd probably be watching the Colts at Texans. But 4 p.m. window. What game do you think will tempt you to switch away from Redzone in the 4 p.m. window?
I don't know how long I would click away for, but just out of sheer curiosity of looking at it, I would watch Denver's Seahawks for at least a little while. I'm curious about Bo Nix. I just have so many questions on as an individual. I had when he was in college, and that's following with me. This is just a Nicole Catch niche thing of the interest that I have in Bo Nix for really no reason. And so it's a personal vested interest.
I didn't even think this was a possibility for you to pick. So I don't even have, I didn't even look into this game. I don't have the line pulled up for this game.
I'm not picking, and I'm very much predicting the Seahawks to win, but I'm kind of want to see Bo Nix.
It would be interesting for you to flip over. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I think
Bo
Seattle
Nix
definitely
beating out
wins
Zach
that
Wilson
game.
is a very interesting thing that I want to take a look at.
There's your Jets bias. Got it.
Yeah, there it is. Like is this pick is so Nicole Catch niche.
Yeah.
Like there's not like unbelievably interesting stats in this. It's just like, ooh, I want to go take a look at what's happening over here.
I want to be clear for a disclaimer. I don't watch Cleveland games. So while I think in the 4 p.m. window, probably the most traditionally interesting head-to-head matchup is Cleveland Cowboys, but that won't tempt me away because I don't watch Cleveland games.
Click them either, yeah.
Right. There's the amount of that game I will watch is what it shows me on Redzone. That is what it is. The game that will interest me away, we've actually already talked about in the Raiders at the Chargers. I'm intrigued what the new Chargers will be, and if they will be any different than the old Chargers is really what would draw me out. Yeah. Harp Herb.
Hearing people talk about fantasy football is also like hearing people say you were in my dream last night. It's the same energy. Because there's things that aren't real but real and don't matter, but people need to talk about them because it really affects them. Is the best comparison of things is when you need to tell someone about your dream is just when you're telling someone about a good pickup or your whatever was your boomer that week on.
Everyone cares about their own fantasy team. No one cares about anyone else's fantasy team.
No.
And for that reason, Nicole, every week we're going to talk about your fantasy team because
heck yeah, because everyone should care about my fantasy team. At the time of recording this, I have yet to draft my team. So you may say, Nicole, how can you be stressed about your fantasy football team when the season has not started yet and you haven't even drafted your team? Well, the answer is that it's a keeper league, and my keeper is Jamar Chase, who kind of is throwing a temper tantrum with the Bengals right now. And I'm already worried enough about Joe Burrow connecting with Jamar Chase. Now I'm just worried about Jamar Chase connecting with a game or football or just the team in general. I can't pick a different keeper. I know he is, but I have to. This is about the stress of my fantasy team. So currently, the contract negotiations that are happening with the Bengals are happening with my team. All too well is really struggling with keeping Jamar Chase right now.
Wait. Your name is All Too Well?
100%. Do I currently have?
That's a great name.
Thank you. Yeah, and I did edit the All Too Well short film like poster to say All Too Well as my picture that you can't even see on the ESPN like poster thing.
Yeah, but worth it. Is it All Too Well 10-minute version?
Too many letters. I ran out of characters, so it is All Too Well. Just All Too Well. And All Too Well we just cannot complete these negotiations with Jamar Chase, and it's really fun to kind of just watch that unfold because my fiasco last year was deciding if my keeper was going to be Jamar Chase or Tyreek Hill, and I wish I could go back in time. Right decision. I know, but right now I still
thought process of the decision was right because you have to put yourself, this time last year, no one knew if Tua was going to be able to perform the way Tua performed and stay healthy. And I still am not a big Tua believer. If Burrow did not get injured last year, I don't think you would be like, oh, that was an awful decision. You'd be like, okay, I made a smart decision and they came out close.
Right.
You're telling me that right now, Tyreek Hill, you would bet on him having a incredible, record-breaking season again, and that if you were betting on Tua versus Burrow, you would pick Tua?
No, I just
you made the right decision
for the team name. I know that's exactly what we do, and that's fine. And it's fine because I have the first round draft pick, and because I'm not dumb.
The number one overall?
Yep. And I'm number one overall draft pick.
Everyone has a first round draft pick.
Yep, I know. Because as soon as I said it, I was like, that's not the number one that I'm trying to talk about. Yeah, I have the number one overall pick. So I'll end up with Christian McCaffrey, and then that'll probably end up being my new keeper going into next year, but we'll see. So at least there's that. Mm. And I just hope no one starts drafting quarterbacks in the fourth round all over again. Yeah. But,
the fourth round is about when people would draft quarterbacks. Hey, so this episode comes out after you do your draft. So who are your targets? If you got your ideal quarterback, who do you want? Who are your other wide receiver targets?
God, that's now asking me to do on the fly. I haven't done my intense analysis yet of all my spreadsheets that I have broken.
Well, next week we'll circle back and see if you completely disagree. You can correct and say I made nothing I said ended up happening, and I don't like any of my assessments. But as of now, where are your targets at?
Okay, so also disclaimer, I have the hot take of I can have a funky name on my fantasy team and not have that quarterback. So I don't want Tua as my quarterback. Okay, so people think that's a really hot take. And I was getting a lot of crap last year because my name, it says All Tua Well in the thing, and I don't have Tua on my team, and I never wanted to have Tua on my team, but I just wanted the name.
You're also not a Dolphins fan, so maybe I'm pulling it back a little bit where if you were a Dolphins fan, even if you didn't want Tua on your team and your name was it's a really good name, but now
do I have to change the name of my team?
I think you should.
Or do I have to draft Tua?
No, you don't have to draft Tua. You're too competitive for that. Draft to win. But I would say, if you can come up with a good name with players on your team this year, I think it's worth changing.
But I always want them to be
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So I think the theme of your team name should be Taylor Swift, and you can come up with a Taylor Swift name for someone on your team post-draft. I think you should change it.
Although what's so wild is the year that I won was when I did the joke of Benny and the Jets, but I named it Braxton and the Jets, and I won that year. So maybe I gotta not do a Swiftie theme.
I don't know. Now I think we're getting too far into superstition.
Now we're getting to superstition or super stupid.
Yeah. All right, well, we've been talking for 7 minutes about your fantasy team, and no one cares about your fantasy team, so I think we should wrap it up.
And that's how we have to end this segment every single time we do it.
How'd your fantasy draft go?
Not as horrendous as it could have gone. So I'm feeling really good about it, but we'll have to wait till next week to give everyone the full update on how the draft went. But what we do still need to talk about is Jamar Chase still being my keeper, and just, really encouraging participation. Really, because participation gets us places and participation gets us far, and Jamar Chase participating in practice and games and anything is what gets me points in fantasy. So Jamar, please just continue to show up and do your job and think, and Please, because I can't have my keeper not participate in the sport that I'm fake playing in. That's all.
I really thought when you said you had something vital and important to share with us in this final buzzer that it was going to be about Devin White not traveling with the Eagles. So who's going to play linebacker?
No,
because that's of vital importance.
Right, of unbelievable vital importance. And no, I just needed to manifest publicly on the audio platform and visual platform that we have, and hoping that this message will reach Jamar Chase of me begging him to just
Jamar, get your bag. Hold out.
Please. Yeah, okay, no. Still get the bag, but play.
I don't know. This is the yearly reminder that the Bengals organization is so cash strapped and so cheap that I don't think they can.
Burrow, he got a pretty sick deal.
They had to basically take out naming rights. No, yeah, they had to take out naming rights on the stadium in order to pay Joe Burrow. I want to be clear that that's not a report. That's me connecting dots. I think it'd be more entertaining content if Jamar Chase doesn't play.
No, we don't need that for my mental health.
I'm so stressed for the Eagles tomorrow. Okay,
bye.
Well, we can't only talk about the NFL. So we have a college football corner to wrap up this Friday football forecast. I had a lot of fun naming these things this week. As many what are they, alliterations? Things that I will lean into. So we're going to pick, similar to the NFL, we have the game of the week in college football, and it had to be Texas visiting Michigan, for sure. So what are your thoughts on this game, and who do you have predicting to come out on top?
When College Game Day announces where they're going before the current College Game Day is happening, and also it's happening on Fox, that is without a doubt the game of the week.
Well, also it's week 2 in college football, and the slate besides this is rough. This is probably the only game of the week that's really
it was the obvious pick no matter what, but it was funny that I'm before seeing Georgia and Clemson kickoff, I'm okay, so wow, we're already saying Ann Arbor, see you next week.
Yeah.
I am hyped for this game. I think it's going to be a really exciting matchup to see. Michigan coming off their national championship, but they lost a significant portion of their OLine, and Texas is looking really good. And for the sake of keeping this interesting in terms of our podcast, I am going to go with Texas in this matchup.
If I told you that right now Texas is favored by 6.5 points, would you give up the 6.5 points?
Yes.
All right. So you have Texas in dominant fashion on the road at the Big House. Winning.
I do.
I refuse to ever let myself get that high about a Texas team, no matter how good a Texas team looks, just because I don't believe in Texas until it's time to believe in Texas. I think it's hysterical that Texas already has a quarterback controversy after Arch Manning did one drive in a blowout game and he looked competent. So of course now Texas is unnecessarily deciding that there's a controversy and that Arch Manning needs to start. It's I don't know, maybe your team looks pretty good and you should just stick with I don't know.
But Quinn Ewers is also in the hype tree. He's the newest character in Fansville and Dr. Pepper.
Michigan did look sluggish in week 1. I don't think that necessarily means that Michigan is going to be bad this season, though. I think everything you said is true. I would say that if I got 6.5 points, which is the line at the time of recording this, I'll take Michigan at home 6.5 points, but probably still a loss. I'd take the points. I think this game is going to be close, is my prediction.
Yeah, it'll be close. I'm being a little too jazzed and forward, but backtrack. Take the point.
Disclaimer here: I grew up a Michigan fan. My dad's a Michigan alum.
I knew where Brianna was going to lean on this one a little bit.
I think it's more fun for me to pick Michigan so I can root for Michigan. But I also just think going on the road to the Big House is hard. This is not. Yeah. And Texas hasn't really gotten up for big games recently. I just believe this game is going to be close. So I think Texas wins it outright in a very close game. So give me Michigan and the points, please. I also think the spread is going to get worse. So, like, I wouldn't bet on this right now at the 6.5. I think this is going to be a wider spread because I think Texas people get way too crazy about Texas being good, and I think Michigan is going to be way too dramatic about how like quote unquote sluggish they looked. So, give me whatever that line is the day before. Like, give me that. I want it.
It's going to be a great matchup. I'm also then excited that I don't necessarily need to wait till like the nighttime to watch it. Like, it's going to be like, all right, let's wake up and watch.
Oh, that is the best part about college football. Is I love that when the game of the week is like the first game after college game day. Like, I get, especially living on the West Coast, I get to wake up and watch a noon game. Like, please. All right, every week, putting a team on upset alert, Nicole. What is a top 20? Okay, disclaimer, this isn't normally going to be the case, but right now we are recording this before we get the new top 25 post week 1.
But they're not coming out till Tuesday this week because week 1 of college football is weird.
Yeah, because they're taking advantage of the fact that there's no NFL. So that this won't normally happen. But if for some reason one of us picks a team that doesn't stay in the top, we'll fix this in post. But top 25, who are you putting on upset alert, Nicole?
I think that there's a chance of an Oregon upset this week, which is a hot take because they're playing Boise State. And not that I think I'm hot on Boise State, but Oregon just really didn't breeze through playing the Idaho Vandals. And I think, the Idaho war against Oregon continues. So I'm going to say that just because Oregon's not looking too hot, potential for an upset.
I think that's a good pick. You were like, oh, I have a wild one. Like, if we're looking at the slate of games this week, like that's not completely
it just feels weird to say that right now, Oregon currently ranked number 3, which is not going to be number 3 by the time this episode probably comes out, because I'm sure it'll go down because of Idaho being beaten by Boise State. I really would feel a little bit stronger about this if it was home at Boise State in the blue field. Yeah. But I love the blue field so much. But it's not. But I'm still going to ride Boise State.
So my top 25 upset alert might be a little shocking to you because of how much I talked about them in our hot takes on Tuesday. But I'm going to put Iowa on upset alert. They're playing Iowa State, so it is a rivalry game. They are home, and normally I would put a team on the road on upset alert. Currently, the line is set at Iowa only being favored by 2.5 points. We'll see how much that adjusts as people actually look into Iowa's new incredible offense. But of the top 25 teams that have a matchup this week, I think they're the one who's like playing a rival, so I could see an upset happening. But I hope it doesn't happen because Iowa is just always my entertainment. Last thing in our college football corner, Canes fan Nicole Katz, well, I also am, but Nicole is the crazy Canes fan of the two of us, I am very skeptical, is going to pick the Canes game. So Nicole, are the Miami Hurricanes going to win this week?
2 parts. Miami Hurricanes will beat the football game against Florida A&M. The Miami Hurricanes will lose the halftime performance against the Florida A&M marching band because they have an unbelievable, incredible marching band. But Canes will beat Florida A&M.
If the Canes don't beat Florida A&M and they don't absolutely smash them, then my skepticism is warranted.
Yes.
I think they need to win by about 3 touchdowns for me to feel good.
100%. I agree with you. I am very much anticipating that, and the defense needs to hold them. Like, there should not be, there'd be held to field goals for a majority of that, for sure, if not just keeping them back as far as possible.
It's time for the final buzzer.
Cincinnati gives Joe Burrow a huge contract, but has yet to pay Jamar Chase. So who knows if he's going to play this weekend as of Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We talk about the Falcons a bit in this episode, but it looks like tight end Kyle Pitts is going to be sidelined with a hamstring injury this week. I don't know if this news makes things better or worse for the Giants, but Brian Daboll has announced that he will be doing play calling duties this year. The Jets extended cornerback Michael Carter. I'm sure Nicole is excited. And Pittsburgh extended star defensive tackle Cameron Hayward. Also, in crushing news for the 49ers hater and me, they did work out a deal with left tackle Trent Williams. Relevant to our high hopes for the Steelers, it looks like they will be without starting left guard Isaac Seumalo for week 1. In other news about the 49ers, it looks like Christian McCaffrey is good to go, but it's unsure if he's going to be fully healthy after sitting out a lot of training camp with a strained calf. And last but definitely not least, my Eagles hat for this football season did come in time because I'm recording this for you all the day before the Eagles game, and I am wearing my hat for this season. I get a new dad hat for every Eagles season. This year I went with a midnight green with just the Eagles bird logo. I didn't have something simple and basic like this. And of course I need a new hat at every turn. It's not like I don't have too many or something.
Thank you for listening to another sports show. Thank you to our co-creators, Nicole Katz and Brianna Klein. Thank you to the four-legged executive producers and me, voiceover man. Make us one of your stars of the game by subscribing, liking the video, and turning on auto downloads. Make our day by leaving us a review on your podcast platform of choice and a comment on YouTube. Attend the postgame on social media for exclusive daily content. We'll be back to review the playbook every week. See you next Tuesday.
Today was another sports show, and it was drunk on the first week of football.
Go Birds!